everybody, we are back. Dinner in 1 hour with spaghetti al finocchio, fennel pasta. I hope that we have a few visitors, and we also will have a interesting wine presentation in a second for you, for something to pair with your dinner. So the ingredients are pretty straightforward. You should be in good shape. We will start with putting the water on. Once I put the water on to get that going for the pasta, then we'll watch a Jennifer Christini, wine consultant, friends of ours, present some wine for you to pair with this dinner. I'm going to use a big pot like this. We're going to do 1 pound of pasta, and I'm going to fill it maybe 2/3 of the way, but not completely. Remember, we want to make sure that we don't overfill it so that we can have some pretty good concentration of starch in our pasta water, okay? While the pot fills up, we will also get our pan that we will be cooking the sauce in ready. In that pan, we will put some olive oil. The recipe doesn't call for garlic. I like garlic, so I will flavor the oil with some garlic. And you know all the tricks by now. The only secret is to cook it very slow. Slowly roast that garlic so that we don't burn it. I'm going to heat it once, just to open it up, and it's going to go in there with the skin on. This recipe will not use any fat besides the olive oil. No animal fat, so it's a vegan recipe. At the very end, if you like to, you can add cheese, Parmesan cheese, and that's clearly all up to you. All right, again, a little off script, but I'm going to add a little bit of red pepper to mine just because I like the heat. You can get the heat from the red pepper, or you can use a good grinding of black pepper later on during the cooking. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead for myself. I'm going to add a little bit of red pepper. That will not make it too hot, just a little bit, and get this heat on low. I do have my water. This recipe, it's all fresh vegetables. The amount of salt is important to really pull the flavor from these fresh vegetables. So you do want to salt your pasta water this time, okay? So remember, a few times we skipped it just because we may be using pecorino or a salty guanciale, but this time we do want a nice handful of salt in our pasta water, okay? I'm going to switch to your video so we can have some wine.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Dinner in an Hour with Stefano. My name is Jennifer Christini, and I am a wine consultant with Scout & Cellar. And I am helping Stefano tonight by pairing his wonderful fennel pasta dish with an amazing wine from Willamette Valley, Oregon. It's a Pinot Gris called Hushkeeper. And Scout & Cellar wines are clean crafted wines, which means they have no sugar. They're not mass-produced wines. They are wines from small vineyards that are organic or biodynamic. They are vegan wines, and they don't contain all the yucky stuff that mass-produced wines contain. So they are very, very low in sulfites, which means no headaches anymore from drinking wine. And they have no pesticides. They are all hand-picked, and everything is done by hand in the Scout and Cellar wines. And so I'm really excited to share this with you all tonight, and hopefully you will try it someday. And so this is a Pinot Gris, and it's also very similar to a Pinot Grigio. They're the same grape. And so what's the difference between a Pinot Gris and a Pinot Grigio? Well, a Pinot Gris the grapes tend to ripen longer on the vine. Whereas a Pinot Grigio, which is more from the Italian regions, they are picked earlier, and so they don't ripen as much. So they're usually a drier wine. Whereas a Pinot Gris wine is going to be a little fruitier, have a little fuller body than a Pinot Grigio. This wine in particular, the Hushkeeper Pinot Gris from Willamette Valley, is a very zippy, balanced with lemon, pear, underripe pineapple. It's going to have a medium-bodied frame with a really, really bright finish. It's going to go amazing with the fennel pasta. And it pairs perfectly with any summer evening or seafood dish. It's about 13% alcohol with very little residual sugar. That's the other great thing about Scout and Cellar wines, is they do not add sugar to their wines. And so they're not very sweet, and you don't get all that yucky stuff in them. So I really hope you enjoy your cooking time with Stefano. And if you are interested in any Scout and Cellar wines, check out my website, which I will put in the notes of the cooking show today. Take care. Have a great night.
Here we go. So I'm looking forward to having some of the wine. I've had it before. I know it is really good. And thank you, Jennifer, again for doing this for us. It's a good addition, a great addition to Dinner in 1 Hour. I need my glass. And I need a little bit of wine, and then we'll go back in business. So, well, Jennifer showed the wine, so I didn't know which one it is. Right there. Awesome. Okay. Water is on high or medium high. I'm going to turn this up a little bit again. I had it real low. I wanted to make sure that I didn't burn my garlic. I'm on medium low. I know that it's not doing anything yet. It's not bubbling, so it's in good shape. Let's get to work on our vegetables. I'm going to work on the fennel first. Okay? So on the fennel, I'm going to cut off the tops. And so up here I have 2 parts on the fronds. I have the stalky part and I have the leafy part. Okay? So I'm going to separate the little leaves. The Italians call them beards. And I'm going to save them. I'm going to put them to the side. There's a lot of awesome flavor in the little beards. We're going to use them, some of them directly in the sauce, and some of them as garnish at the end. Okay? So the ones that I want to use for garnish, I want to make sure that I really take out the stalk. I want it to be very soft, and we are going to chop them up a little bit. The ones that we'll use in the sauce, it doesn't matter. It will all get blended into this creamy sauce, so it can be a little more stocky. So I'm just pulling down to preserve a few, to put them on the side for me. Some of the finer beards. My garlic is starting to bubble. Can you see it bubble? So if the garlic starts to bubble, I can also smell that it's getting ready to be you need to cool down so that it doesn't burn, or at least turn down. Okay, so I'm going to do just a few more of the finer beards for my garnish. I guess food tastes better if it looks pretty. Is that true? Probably not. Probably tastes the same. Let the mind play tricks on you. Okay, I'm going to turn my garlic down. I don't want it to burn. I have it on low. I'm just going to let it sit there for a second because I still have to chop all these vegetables. As a matter of fact, I can smell the garlic that is just right, so I will pull the garlic out of there. Even though it's on low, I just do not want to get too far. Smells great. Okay, so how are we going to clean this? It's very easy. We're going to cut it in half. Then we're going to come in here. We're going to eliminate the middle. And then the rest of it, we're going to chop it. Now, you can chop it finely if you want. You know, you can go real fine if you think it's important, but it really won't be because it's going to cook down, right? So even if you're a little bit coarse, if you go a little bit wider, it's fine. No, don't stress out about the quality of the cut. I'm going to do this first, then the shallot. Okay. To eliminate the core from this one too. There's the core. It's pretty tough, doesn't have much flavor, so we're just going to get rid of it. So they, I think in the recipe I got for you guys to chop things. The celery is probably good that you do chop. The I'm going to turn off this oil. I don't want to burn what's in there. The shallot or the red onion, whichever one you were able to get your hands on. You don't have to take the time to chop. If you cut it thin enough, it will cook just as well as that fennel right there. Okay. So I'm sorry I'm not looking at you guys. We don't have the correct camera angle. I'm not ignoring you. And if you do have questions, please feel free. Betty's online ready to answer them for you. Okay. So here we go. Pretty quick. Chop the onion, chop the fennel. We're going to get them in that olive oil to start sauteing. Again, we're going to saute them to clear. We do not want to caramelize them. Now, fennel does taste good caramelized. That's a different way of preparing it, different flavor profile. People do put them in the oven with butter and fennel to do an au gratin with the fennel, and it is really good. That's not what we're going for here. Here we're just going to saute it, and it's going to be a fresh dish, highlighting all these beautiful vegetables that are available to us. The fennel plant is actually in the carrot family, so it is a root vegetable. And it's very popular in the Mediterranean and is spread through everywhere now. So I'm just going to go ahead and start off the fennel and the onions because they will take a little longer to cook than the celery. I'm going to chop the celery next. And I'll show you a little trick. When you cook vegetables like this, and especially vegetables like celery that have a thick wall, cell wall on the outside, what you can use is baking soda in the sauteing process to break down those cells and make them saute quicker. 2 stalks should be enough. we want to make this a very fine sauce. So I'm going to go ahead and try to get rid of the strings on the fennel, on the celery, right? Not necessary, right? You could just chop it very fine, but it's so quick and easy that you might as well get rid of those strings and not have to worry about them. Okay. These I'm going to cut a little finer just to make sure they cook down quicker. I do have my eye on the pan, and I'm listening to what the pan is telling me. As I said, I do not want to caramelize the onions, so I want to keep the heat low and keep it going to help them in the steaming process. We can add a little bit of water right now. So if I add the water, then I know that I can keep the heat a little higher and still not caramelize the onions, right? Because the water is only going to allow them to get so hot. I will add that little bit of the baking soda in there to speed up the process. And I'm going to throw in there a little bit of salt to pull all the water out of the vegetables and really concentrate that flavor. Remember, save your celery leaves. Okay, we're going to use them in the end as a garnish, but they're more than just a garnish. They do have a lot of good flavor in them, and so we do want to use them and save them for the end. Okay, we're going to go ahead and clean the celery. Most of the stringy stuff is really at the bottom. By the time you get to the top, it's just not as stringy. But we're being diligent. I just score it twice so that it makes my chopping easier. I just come down and it's already in smaller pieces. I don't have to work too hard at this. It's not really work anyway. The pasta water is going to be hot in a little bit. If you're patient with me, I will show you a very special or different way to cook your pasta. You're going to think I'm crazy. I'm going to go against tradition, but there is this Italian chef in Rome called Marco Ruffini that I've seen use this technique of cooking pasta, and I've done it a few times, and I'm starting to be a believer. We'll get to it in a minute, okay? So I didn't measure my cups of celery because you know that I don't measure. This is not a good thing for an engineer, but we're not going to the moon. We're just creating a beautiful sauce and letting our eyes and our tastes guide us to the right place, okay? So I have a little bit of garlic, a little bit of the red pepper. I have salt, I have olive oil, I have onions, celery, and the bulb of the fennel. I'm going to take out the smaller fronds from the stalks because we are using the whole fennel. All the stalks will go in there. We're going to chop them just as if it was celery, just go down the stalk, and we're going to put it in there, okay? And then we'll use the beards uncooked when they go in the blender, when the sauce goes in the blender. So this recipe is really healthy. It has really good raw vegetables in there for you, and then of course the goodness and taste of what we're creating there in that pan. All right, so here we go. Just a coarse chop, and this do need to cook down. Okay, so otherwise you won't get there. but I can see some good action in that pan already, okay? Here we go. Got a good use out of this spoon. Unfortunately, I left it too close to the fire a few many times, but it's still faithful to me. It hasn't left me yet, so I will keep on using it until it tells me that it needs to retire. Okay. Lots of feel in how we do these things. I like this. I like the way it is. I like the way it's coming up. It's starting to dry up. We still have a ways to go on the fennel stock that I just put in. And so, and the water is not boiling yet. So I'm going to add more water and let that evaporate. Okay, just a little more water. Here we go. I don't know if the picture is good, if you can really see what's going on in this pan. But I hope you can. Okay, while that is going on, and it's slowly going to evaporate, we're going to work on some breadcrumbs. So if you have some bread that has been sitting around and it's dried out, okay, and you don't want to throw it away, you can buy breadcrumbs. But this, what I will show you, is so much more flexible because you can make breadcrumbs the way you want them, not what is coming in that package or in the cardboard box or whatever it is. What we're going to do is we're going to take this bread and we're going to put it in a food processor. And so we can control what size breadcrumbs we want. So this is what I did for myself. I'm going to do it now for you guys too, just so you can see it. These are the breadcrumbs that I prepared for myself a few days ago.
Those are nuts.
Oh, those are your nuts. Where are my breadcrumbs? Are they gone?
They're in the Ziploc over.
Those are not the breadcrumbs. Those are the raw. Well, I guess I don't have any more breadcrumbs. So great that I'm making more because I do need breadcrumbs for myself. All right, here we go. So we're going to get our food processor out. Wish I could see what I was doing. Here we go. And we're going to break in there a little bit of bread. In the meantime, the cast iron pan is going to go on with a little bit of olive oil, but not too much because we don't want to soak our breadcrumbs in olive oil. And we want the olive oil to be warm or hot by the time we get the breadcrumbs in there, so that they coat the outside, that it will toast pretty fast, okay? So this is a fairly high-speed blender. So all I will have to do is probably pulse it. Pulse it once or twice, and I probably will have the size of breadcrumbs that I like, okay? So here we go. Yeah, hit it a little more. It's not quite there yet. Okay, that's good. So what will happen is when we take it out of there, there's some really small pieces at the bottom. If you don't get rid of those, they tend to burn when you go in the pan. I can see the pan is already, that olive oil is hot. You can see it makes bubbles at the bottom of my spoon. So I know it's ready. So I will take one extra step. I'm going to give it one last blend.
Bella wants to know what all the different Bella has some clarification on what the different heat settings are for each thing.
Okay, so this one is going to, I think it's almost ready to actually go in there, so I'm going to put it on low. This is on medium, and the water is on hot, okay? So I'm going to take this out. I got nice, good size, chunky crumbs. I'm going to put it through here, so I get rid of the very fine crumbs. It's not what I want for this recipe. Now that's good breadcrumbs. You can still use them for other things, right? Okay, you can take this stuff out there. And so this is going to go in there. Now, you have to stay after it. So it's a little bit of a pain because you do have to stay after it, okay? But it's worth it. You love the breadcrumbs, your own breadcrumbs from the size that you like, and they're fresh, none of the stale stuff coming out of the box, okay? Just keep an eye and keep on turning it because it is on high now. And it's a cast iron pan, so it will get hot quick. This is looking awesome. I just put it on low because it is ready to go in the blender. And the water for the pasta is almost boiling. So remind me to show you that unusual way of cooking your pasta. So if you're working with your pasta, we're not going to use spaghetti. We're going to go with paccheri is what we'll use. Paccheri is very large macaroni. This particular brand says that their cooking time is 12 to 14 minutes. Okay, so it's kind of longer. Most pasta you get are 9 to 11. This pasta doesn't have any creaminess to it. It's kind of watery because of all the vegetables. So what we want to do, I'm going to turn down this before I burn everything. So what we want to do is pull the pasta out of the cooking a couple of minutes before it's ready because we need to finish cooking it in the sauce once we have the sauce blended. So my crumbs are turning color. They look great. Since that's a cast iron pan, I do need to pull them out of there because they will keep on cooking if I don't. And that will not be a good thing because then they will burn, all right? So these are my gorgeous olive oil breadcrumbs. They didn't have any salt, they didn't have any spices. It's just the crunch that we're going to use because it goes fantastic with the fresh taste of the fennel. Okay? And these are the breadcrumbs that we can use to bread anything down the road, whether we're making eggplant parmesan or some cotolette or whatever you're making. You have the finer breadcrumbs for yourself. All right. I have my sauce in here. Betty will call me out if I forget something, which I'm very likely to do. But so far, from what I'm smelling and seeing, I'm going to turn this off. I'm feeling very good about this. What is going on with this darn plug? Not cooperating with me. Alright. If I cannot plug it in, you think that is, I don't think that it was reset. Alright, so now I reset it. It went in. Betty was exactly right. Alright, so this will go in the blender with the remaining little beards. We are going to make a lot of noise because we want to blend that as fine as we can, okay? We really want to get that going. So, what is boiling? I'll show you the pasta. The pasta said, if we believe it, 12 to 14 minutes. This is the cooking technique that I was telling you about earlier, okay? So what we will do is once the water is boiling rapidly, we'll drop in the pasta. We'll stir a couple of times. We'll wait about a minute until it comes back to a boil. We'll put a lid on and we'll turn that stove off. Okay? At that point, 2 minutes will have gone by, or a minute and a half into to bring it back to a boil. Actually, we'll boil it for 2 minutes. We'll boil it for the 2 minutes. And then we'll just count down the rest until it's 2 minutes to being cooked. Okay? So let me show you. Now I'm going to packet it. Packet it, go in there. This pasta said 12 minutes to fully 12 to 14, so at 10 minutes we want to pull it out. We're going to start a 10-minute timer. Once the timer, once we have a 10-minute timer, once I am at about 8 minutes. Thank you, Betty. Once we're at 8 minutes, thank you. Once we're at 8 minutes, and this is boiling again, we'll put the lid on, and we'll let it, and we'll turn the stove off. Okay, so that sounds like crazy things. Stefan is telling you crazy things. The idea behind that is that as opposed to the pasta sitting in the boiling water, especially the packet, this very large macaroni getting broken up, they just cook there with still water. Once we pull them out, you'll see the pasta water will not look as cloudy as it typically does. That's because a lot of the starch is still inside of the macaroni. We'll transfer it in here and we'll finish the cooking, and all the starch from the macaroni will be released in our sauce. Okay, so I'm at 8.5 minutes, another 30 seconds, and then we'll just cover it and turn it off, and then we'll move on to blending our sauce. I really want some of that wine. Here we go. Ah, very nice. All right, I'm at 8 minutes. It's boiling. I'm going to cover it. I'm going to turn it off. And it will just sit there for the next 8 minutes, okay? But in the meantime, we will get our sauce ready. Cooking without the kitchen is a little tighter. Now maybe it's easier to follow. Anybody I need to say hello to, Betty?
I can't see everybody. There's Michelle Cantanese, Kathy Standage is there.
Awesome.
Laura Rich is actually trying fennel for the first time. The kids' old council, the girls' St. Agnes council.
Oh, really?
She's never tried it before, so.
Good. Are you hiding back there?
Yes, I tried it. I want to see if you can take anything out of the way.
All right, we got it all. And I need this lid. So there's not going to be enough liquid in there. So we will use some more olive oil and we'll taste it, okay? And then we'll decide whether we need to start adding salt. It's going to get noisy, I apologize. that has some more very flavorful fennel beards that I can put in there. So they're gonna go in now. Can't believe I was gonna forget the extra fennel. Let's see what it looks like after I blend it for a little bit and see how much olive oil I need to add, okay? Here we go again. Alright, look at that beautiful color. Now I will check for salt and I will check for black pepper. It tastes a little spicy already with the red pepper that I put in the beginning, but I may still want to add a little bit of black pepper. It's really not far off. I think if you need salt, it's just a little bit, not much, just a pinch. It's going to dilute once it gets in there, and then I will put a little bit of black pepper. I think consistency is good. I'm going to add just a little bit more olive oil. Blend it just a little longer. Alright, here we go again. Sauce will go back into the pan. We'll use the starch from the packaging. They have 3 more minutes to go, so we're getting very close to having a meal. If you're going to have Parmesan cheese and you need to grate it, you can do it now. We have breadcrumbs that we will use, and I will go ahead and chop a little bit of the parsley leaves and the fronds from the fennel. I don't know. What's an elephant?
Isn't that right?
Why would the elephant be a pachyderm?
What is an elephant?
Elefante. A pachyderma. A pachyderma is any kind of elephant, African or Indian. It's a pachyderm. But pachyro is.
I think it's elephant pasta.
You think that's what it is? You may be right. I've never thought about it that way. Oh, this looks awesome. It smells really good. Okay, the lemon zest we'll use on top of our plated pasta. The crumbs we'll use on top. All that you see here will go on top at the very end. Now, if you do want to add the lemon, do not add it to the overall dish. Wait until it's cooked. Okay, so you can add it to the overall dish. Just wait until it's cooked. That way you don't cook the lemon. Lemon gets a little bit bitter if you cook it. So this is my fennel. I mean, this is my celery leaves. We used everything from the vegetables. We didn't waste any of it. And then these are my beards from the fennel. Okay. I'm going to put this back on medium to keep it warm. Garnish, garnish. I need my microplaner. Is it at 1 minute yet?
24 seconds left.
That's fine. Oh, right. I'll just transfer it. Okay. If you use your traditional method of making your pasta, this works just as well. It's just remember to pull it out a little quicker, right? So in here, I may need some more fresh olive oil. The package should be al dente. Right here. Here we go. And they're going to start releasing all their starch into my pasta, into my sauce, I'm sorry. The sauce and the pasta become one. Betty was right, I do need to pour some of that water out because I'm not being very efficient. So I'm going to reserve more of that pasta water, but I'm going to go ahead and drain it into a bowl. Here we go. Packer looking great. Try one. Oh, beautiful al dente. I may not need to add any pasta water in here. I like the consistency. But if yours is looking dry and you don't have a sauce forming, you just come in there with just a little drop and the whole thing just turns into a beautiful creamy sauce, okay? Okay, I think we're ready to plate if you want to bring in a couple of bowls. So I'm going to turn it off. So you can put the zest in there or you can just put it in a plate. Since we're just at 2 plates that we're doing tonight, I'm going to use the lemon zest on top. Jennifer, this wine and this pasta,
Perfect pairing.
unbelievable. Very good call. Very good call. Okay, here we go. Betty, you hungry?
And I'm refilling my wine. That green is beautiful. Oh, it's so pretty.
All right, so you're going to use your walnuts, right? And I will use my breadcrumbs.
Or the gluten-free one, the oats.
Yep.
It's beautiful.
Your pasta looks awesome, Betty. And then what we need, it's a little freshness, little fresh sprinkle, just a filo, a little string of olive oil on top. Want to come in here?
better get more than that at some point.
Thank you for joining us. I hope your pasta came along as well as ours did. I think ours is it's just right. I hope you can see it there with the collar. And we will see you hopefully next Sunday, or we may be doing every other Sunday just to just to make it easy on everybody. But thanks for joining us again. Bye bye. Looks really good, but I don't have the walnuts in there. You need the walnuts?
Yeah, I'll have. Looks so good. The green is beautiful.
Okay. And then the last.
So what did you do with the pasta water?